Okay, what's the movie doing first?
First job, that'd be
Okay.
fun.
So I'll do a quick introduction.
Okay.
Got a book of fun questions to ask people, just kind of spur some interesting videos, and we're going to run through some of those, and we want other people to do those too. But Dad's going to get us kicked off here, so he's going to talk about his first job, and I'm just here to. If there's anything that needs to be asked, I'll ask it. So, what was your first job?
Okay, my first job was, I was about 8 years old, it was 1958, and my first job was a matter of having to go see my dad because my mother said she was done with me. Your father can have you now. And so she took me to my dad's gas station, Mobil Gas, on 3615 East area, Wichita, Kansas. And Dad had a box, a big box that the hoist came in for the station when he built the station, and it was in the corner, and that's why I sat on that box. And the first few times that I was there, I did not want to be there, and I'd cry, you know, and Dad would say, "Quit your blubbering," and he'd give me a rag, and he'd say, "Wipe off those oil cans." We had oil cans on the shelf, and so I'd wipe the oil off of the oil cans because they're always oily, and put them back on the shelf. It was just something that he tried to keep me busy because there wasn't, otherwise I'd just sit there. And so that really wasn't a job yet. But as I got older and I was continuously had to go to the station because I'd caused problems for my mother, she started, do we want to do something about that?
I think you're going to be fine.
Oh, okay.
That's not going to be any of that.
All right, we're getting some outside noise. Anyway, so Mom would do things and I would argue with her about everything and stuff. And anyway, she'd like for me to be gone. And I got to where I liked going to the station. I liked being there. And as I got older, I started helping, doing more things, like filling cars with gas and you know, in the 50s, the cars that would come in, sometimes it was a challenge just finding where to put the gas in the cars, because they were under the tail lights. Sometimes they were under the license plate, and then when a VW would come in, it was on the other end. It was under the front of the car instead of in the back. So, and then you have to be careful. You want to make sure you put it in a place for gas and not the water or something else. So, anyway, I did that. Worked at the station, and towards the end, that was like 58 when I really started going. And I would go in the summer times more regularly. In fact, I would ride my bike from our house. We lived on Green Street to the Harry Street. It was about a mile. I'd ride my bike to the station, and then after we'd close up, and we'd close at 8:30 at night usually. We'd stay open later in the summertime, and we would close earlier in the winter. But my dad would put my bike on the truck, and we'd go back home with it. So I could ride my bike to the station. And in the evenings at the station, the men would come in, Dad and his friends, and they would all drink alcohol. They'd mix it with their Coke. I would get the top ounce of the Coke. It's a 6-ounce bottle. Some of them are 6, some of them are 6.5 ounce then. And I'd pour it into another bottle, the top part of it. And I had plenty of pop to drink all the time because there were so many of them, and most of them drank Coke. One guy, John.
They put rum in it or something?
No, a bourbon. Calvert's Reserve is what Dad preferred. Some guys liked other stuff, but that's the main thing that they would get. They'd buy it just a pint bottle, and they would finish the pint by then. Or a half pint, I mean, not a pint, it was a half pint. And Dad would provide the Cokes, and guys would bring in the bourbon.
Was this a group of guys like in the side of a gas station that was open, or was it after hours people?
Oh, the gas station was open. It was inside. Yeah, usually they didn't start drinking until, maybe 4 or 5 o'clock, and they would drink for 2 or 3 hours. And the guys that that drank there they would buy gas from us, and they'd have their, Dad would provide service for their vehicle, their cars and stuff. So just a group of guys that liked to drink and they would relax and cuss and tell war stories. This was in
Literal war stories.
because they were all involved in some way with World War II. Dad he jumped off the back of a truck while he was in the Army and injured his knee, and he got out because of disability. But the other guys, like Richard was in the Navy and Danny was in the Marines, and they all had seen some kind of service typically during World War II. It was really not that long ago, you think from 45 to 58, so, and it was a big part. And they all would brag about how the Navy won the war, the Army. There was no Air Force, it was Army Air Corps, and that's what Dad was in, and then the Marines and stuff. Danny England, he was a photographer, he was in the Marines. Anyway, I grew up with older men at the station for those first, 5 or 6 years of from 8 to 13, 14, something like that. These men, and then after we closed the station, Dad still had, these guys were all still his friends and stuff. They all smoked and they all drank. And most of them died before Dad did, even in their late 50s or early 60s, from alcohol and smoking. So that was, and Dad, he saw how many friends he lost. He quit smoking finally when our children started getting older, and he was in bed for a week or two from not smoking. Well, that's my first job, really, working in the station. And
so, was there an event that you know of that made Cindy say you're going to the gas station, or was it just always butting heads with her?
Oh, it was my whole life. I mean, I love to argue. She'd tell me, you just want to argue, and I did. I liked the confrontation and.
Did you argue with the guys at the gas station, or just?
No. There was nothing. I mean, there wasn't anything to argue about. A few times, though, I was just a little guy, really. I wasn't very big. These guys, Danny was like 6'4" and probably weighed 250 pounds, and Richard was short, but he was stocky. And well, anyway, one time in the station, they got in an argument about, and I was standing up there kind of between them and stuff a little bit, and just like. And they had all been drinking, but luckily they didn't get violent or anything. Just kind of, it was just, if I think about it, in the past how it was. But it taught me how to deal with people, people who cussed, people who smoked, who drank, whose behavior changed because they drank, and I learned a lot from that. I learned that, and my dad cussed a lot. He'd say words that he would embarrass me as I learned, more about what it was he was saying, because it was part of his everyday language. He didn't want me to cuss. Dad would say, do like I say, not like I do. Now you say, do like I do, I'll be a leader. Well, Dad knew that what he was doing wasn't right, in a lot of ways. So he would say that, he says, do like I say, not like I do.
This is a job. Did you get paid anything?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because someone would ask, Dad, how much you pay him? I pay him $3.50 a day, 3 meals and $50 a day.
$50.
Yeah. So, and Dad, part of what we did at the station was we took in coins from the machines and stuff, and we had $50 and quarters and dimes and nickels and pennies. And so Dad got me doing coin collecting, and I have coins from that time, from 50-cent pieces. In fact, I still have those. I don't know, unless I gave them to one of you kids. Did I give you some coins?
I think we have some of the city's coins.
Yeah. So anyway, the coins that I earned, from working in the station, I still have. Those $50 and quarters and stuff. So, and I would go through the change, and if it was something I needed in my book, my coin book, I just put it in there, you know, and Dad would give it to me. So, yeah.
Huh.
So, but the big thing was that I learned is, you know, how people could seem like they're angry and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just something that's going on with them, you know. They're just part of life, you know. People get upset and holler and things, and then they get over it.
So as you were riding your bike to the place, the gas station, service station, what would be like on your mind as the positive thing, like drinking the Coca-Cola or just seeing the guys, or
it's like being a grown-up. It's like feeling like you had a purpose, you had a job, and that's what work is all about. You know, having something to do. And I kind of felt like, you know, I was doing more than Dad was, because he would sit and drink. But Dad could, you know, he would never let me grease a car with a grease gun underneath the car. He would always, because he said, "Oh, you'll miss a Zerk." That's what it's called, you know, a Zerk. And sometimes I would try and take a tire off a wheel if there was a flat, you know, and I was just, like I said, I wasn't very big. And Dad would, he weighed, you know, 230 pounds. He could put his foot on the tire. And we didn't have automatic equipment for changing tires. So, you know, he could just put his foot on and mash it to the ground and take it off the wheel fairly quick and put it back on, you know, fix the tire and put it back on really quick. So, but anyway, he showed me how to do all that and stuff, and he'd holler at me and cuss, get around over here, you know, put your foot over there, you know, and just, of course, he uses his language when he did all that stuff. And I'd just say, "You mean like this, Dad?" And yes, you know, he'd get up, you know, I would talk to him. Yeah. So anyway, that was probably my most meaningful job, was working for my dad.
Well, not to change the topic entirely, but can you think of a first job you had to do an interview for?
Well, actually after that, I didn't work for quite a while after that. We closed the station.
How old were you then?
I was 14, and I was starting I was in high school, and I didn't really have a regular job until I went to college. And my brother Brock, he had a job lined up for me after I graduated, working for the same place on campus at WSU as he worked, with the theater service. And I was hired. All I had to do was go to work. I mean, it wasn't a matter of interview or anything. They said, "Okay, you're Brock's brother, you're going to work, and this is what you're going to do." Well, everybody there at work, they were engineers, electrical engineers, and I didn't even know what I was going to major in. Brock wanted me to, you know, take math classes, and you know, and I did. But I didn't have to interview for that job. So, and while I was there, I got some other jobs, and most of the time I didn't have to interview for those jobs. I mean, so the first job I interviewed for was probably teaching.
Wow.
Yeah.
And was that Wichita, or was that?
Yeah, Wichita, yes.